As I was walking that ribbon of highway, I saw above me that endless skyway. I saw below me that golden valley. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream water. This land was made for you and me.
The sun was shining as I was strolling through the wheat fields waving, and the dust clouds rolling, and the fog was lifting, a voice was singing. This land was made for you and me.
This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. I've roamed and rambled, I've followed my footsteps to sparkling sands of her diamond deserts, and all around me a voice was calling. It was saying this land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream water. This land was made for you and me.
This land was made for you and me. Made by the millions who were here before us. Strengthened today by you and me. By the thousands of different jobs we do. Jobs which fill the needs of living. Jobs which provide more than the bare necessities of life. The fruits of labor, leisure, the extra things, luxuries big and small. An ice cream cone? Sure, that's a luxury. A silk party dress? Yep, that's one too. And the new family car. A necessity to lots of us, but only because we made it such an important part of our standard of living. Uh-oh. Still, even so, don't knock the traffic jam. Took a lot of people a lot of years to create it. Union conditions made the family car possible. For the unions helped make paid holidays and vacations a commonplace in America. And that's how traffic jams were born. This man and the 14 million like him today, America's union members who can afford to buy what they produce. They've made a great contribution. How great? Where'd it begin? Look back, farther back, to the beginning. The Sons of Liberty, revolution, life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. The Union forever. Another kind of union, too. In 1774 in Philadelphia, the first meeting of the new Continental Congress was held here in a Union Hall, Carpenter's Hall, appropriate spot to hammer out, to nail together a Declaration of Independence. Said one of the delegates around that time, a printer, name of Benjamin Franklin.
We must all hang together, or most assuredly, we shall all hang separately.
The workmen who hung together were really master craftsmen, artisans. No assembly line then. One man was a factory. A man and his tools were a business. A revolution fought and won, then spreading like fire before the wind. A different kind of revolution. Machines replacing hands. Machines for spinning, for harvesting. The reaper, the cotton gin. The Industrial Revolution.
In 1841, I put my corduroy breeches on. I put my corduroy breeches on to work.
With the Industrial Revolution, we blossomed out. No more walking through the wilderness. The growing country grew 7-league boots. Machines over the land, over the water. A fellow named Morse even sent words traveling. The vast new country, spreading, opening up. There for the taking, boys. Free. Everybody free and equal. Everybody.
And before I'd be a slave, I'd be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free. They'll be singing, they'll be singing, they'll be singing over me. And before I'd be a slave, I'd be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free.
The truth goes marching on. Another victory for the freedom and dignity of man. Progress again, picking up faster. A revolution in industry. More factories. Once again, the rush to the free land, the frontier. And immigration. People. More and more eager, hopeful, rushing like a vast tidal wave to the new land. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses. Rich, spilling over. And why so rich, so bulging with the good things of life? Not only because of the land, with room for all. It was industry. It was the mills, the plants, the factories. The factories, the plants, the mills made of brick and stone to stand hard use. But those who worked in them, they were flesh and bone. They too were used hard. Then a textile worker was paid 11 cents an hour, 11 hours a day, 6 days a week.
The machines were made out of gold, and nobody else.
Children got much less. And they too worked from dawn to dark.
There was no unemployment in heaven. We worked steady.
The workers yearned for a better life, for dignity. And they united in 1881. The American Federation of Labor was founded. Samuel Gompers led it.
You cannot weigh a human soul in the same scales with a piece of pork. The union is a voluntary association of many for the benefit of all.
Still, a worker could be fired if he joined the union. He could be blacklisted, never get a job again. And as for better wages, in the courts, a conspiracy. So they met in secret. When they had to, they stood together. And some fell together. New York City, 1911. An average day. On an upper floor of a factory building, a fire broke out. The people inside, mostly young girls, ran to a door to get out.
I watched the upper floors burning and the girls hanging by their hands and then dropping. One girl jumped and her clothing caught on a hook that stuck out from the wall. The fire burned through her clothing and she fell and was killed. It was an awful, awful sight to see them dead on the sidewalk. So many friends.
For 13 weeks before the fire, the union had been on strike. Two of the union's demands were adequate fire escapes and open doors. They lost. The strike was broken. Death toll at the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory, 154 dead, mostly young girls. From death came public indignation, legislation, fire escapes. Charleston contests, flagpole sitters. Ticker tape prosperity as phony as a house of cards. Make $1 million on paper. For the laboring man, no real gains. He was still a scrambling, second-class citizen. Collapsed, gone. The wild ride over, the balloon burst, the depression. Everything down the drain. Banks failed, closing their doors. Stores failed, closed, bolted. Industry, factory, mills, plants all across the country. Shut down, closed. The fire escapes were worthless now. Plenty of merchandise, plenty of things to sell, but who had the money to buy? When production is greater than ability to buy, that's a depression. 12 million unemployed. 15, 17 million.
No place to go. No way to turn. You get riled up sometimes. Anger spilling over, like the dairy farmers fighting over the price of milk. When nobody could buy it anyways. You'd read about the foreclosures. Farms put under the hammer for non-payment of mortgage. You'd read they'd come close to lynching federal judges who issued the foreclosures. Most of all, you felt it inside. It wasn't only your belly that was hungry. You felt a uselessness. Like you weren't a man anymore.
1930, 31, 32, the bottom. There'd been panics before, depressions. Not like this. Never like this.
I pledge myself to a new deal for the American people.
A new voice? Pledging what? Some sort of new deal? People listened. They weren't sure. A voice saying we could be let out of it. But saying was one thing, campaign talk. What would happen when he got in? November 1932, elected. January 1933, February 33, March, inauguration.
The only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
I hear the train
Out of the wilderness, the NRA, and new rights for labor. Since 1893, organized labor had sought relief for the unemployed. Now it came. The Public Works Administration, the CCC, the WPA, the Social Security Act, the climax of labor's long struggle for old age benefits and protection for its family. Insurance against the disaster of mass unemployment, and much more. A federal law that put a ceiling over hours and a floor under wages. 44 hours a week, 25 cents an hour. And for the first time in American history, the United States said that organized labor was right. Workers could join together to seek better wages, better hours and conditions. Join together openly, democratically, rights and a challenge. Now labor had its first real chance. The labor unions grew, doubled, trebled the nation's growth. Workers who before had been afraid joined in. Labor bettered hours and conditions of work in industries long unorganized, in huge mass production plants. All labor benefited. Wherever work was, wherever skilled hands fashioned or wrought or joined, all reaped the benefit. Wages, hours, safety regulations, workmen's compensation, for all, the harvest of labor.
This train, this train, this train, this train.
24 hours a day in World War II. 7 days a week. Labor built the planes, tanks, guns, ships.
This train is bound for glory, this train. This train is bound for glory, this train. This train is bound for glory, don't carry nothing but the righteous and the holy. This train is bound for glory, this train. This train don't carry the gamblers, this train. This train don't carry no gamblers, this train. This train don't carry no gamblers, no crap shooters, no midnight ramblers. This train don't carry no gamblers, this train. This train is leaving in the morning, this train. This train is leaving in the morning, this train. This train is leaving in the morning, great God, a new day dawning. This train is leaving in the morning, this train.
Free men outproduced slave labor. Free soldiers buried Hitler and Tojo and won a war.
Round around Hitler's grave, round around we go. Gonna lay that poor boy down, he won't get up no more. Round around Hitler's grave, round around we go. Gonna lay that poor boy down, he won't get up no more.
This is today. This is a Union man, his home, his family. There are 14 million like him. Once they walked alone, full of fear and insecurity. Today it's different. Labor unions have brought dignity and pride. This is what the larger paycheck means. Not to a man as an employee, but as a husband, a father. Dignity, pride, security. The fruits of the long struggle. And not alone for union members, but for all Americans. Take this town. Pleasant, attractive, quiet streets, solid houses owned by union members. The union man is part of his community. When the union betters his wages, those wages are spent in that community. When his standard of living goes up, his neighbor's goes up. Yours, mine, all benefit. And that's not all. Take our schools. For over a century, the labor unions led in the fight for good public schools. A century ago, this lad might well have been working from dawn to dusk. Now there are laws against child labor. That weekend, those holidays, the vacation you enjoy, the vacation with pay. For all these, organized labor worked. Is the place where you work bright and clean, safe? Organized labor demanded and got safety regulations. A lot more than fire escapes. Accident insurance, unemployment insurance, insurance against illness, pensions, unions, and enlightened management in meetings like this solved their problems. A century ago, it used to be too old to work, too bad. Now the unions provide retirement care. Today there are union-run trade schools, for instance this one. Our ultra-modern atomic energy industry demands new special skills. They're taught at this union plumbing and pipe fitting school. Careful of that pipe. It costs $1,500 a foot. Another school for the children of union members. Summer schools, even vacation resorts, owned, run by the union. Whole families come here. Life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. And not for themselves alone. When earthquakes hit Chile, the very first relief sent came from organized labor, the Afl-Cio. Relief, blood banks, charity. Do you know that more than a third of the money donated to charity comes from the union man? Washington, D.C. The president of the Afl-Cio, George Meany. Labor has come a long, long way since the days of Samuel Gompers, Mr. Meany. That's a record to be proud of.
It's a good record, Mr. Douglas. We have come a long way, but not far enough. There are still a lot of things wrong in our country. All we have to do is to take a look at some of them. We're the richest country in the world, but we still have slums. Slums that breed diseases and crime. We have the highest living standard in the world, but we still have depressed areas where people live in poverty without hope. Our wage scale is better than that of any other country, but there are still millions among us not yet covered by any minimum wage law. We have won Social Security for the aged, but too many lack medical care, insurance against the illnesses that come with age. We still have bad schools, overcrowded, buildings about to collapse, not enough teachers, and poor pay for those we have. And there is still segregation and discrimination against minorities which must be eliminated in our schools, on the job, in the union, eliminated everywhere. Yes, we have come far, and we still have a whole lot farther to go. America wouldn't be America if we had ever stopped on the way. The United States is the leader of the free world. People everywhere look to us for assistance and for inspiration. If we are to lead, and we must lead, we can't do it by patting ourselves on the back. We can't be satisfied with what we've done. That page is over. It's written in history. We have to make new history. We have to uphold what is good, wipe out what is bad, and replace it with something much better. And America can do it. We have the resources and the know-how. And we have the hands, too, the hands of workers. United as workers, united as Americans, working to build a better future, a future brighter and richer than ever for all Americans.
Here is the future. Brighter, better, richer. They are the future. This boy, this girl, these two. Here, for them, we must take our uncertain world. We must shape it for them into something much, much better. A new age is upon us. Challenging, bold, unprecedented, exciting, reaching out with our hearts, with our minds, with our hands. We must give those who follow us more life, more liberty, and the never-ending, everlasting pursuit of happiness.
From California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters, this land was made for you and me. I roamed and rambled and I followed my footsteps to the sparkling sands of her diamond desert, while all around me a voice was chanting, this land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land.
From California to the New York Island,
From the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream water, this land was made for you and me.